Well, folks, we're entering the final stretch of the season. The Astros did not win the series. Their starters looked good. We're going to talk about Justin Verlander. We're going to talk about Jose Altuve. We're going to talk about the playoffs, just a little bit of everything. You know what? Let's go back to the bullpen right now.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk it back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
That's right, everybody, and welcome back to the bullpen. We are here. We are live tonight. The Houston Astros did not get the result we wanted, but we're hoping that the Yankees give the Astros a little hope. Look, I'm H. Wheelhouse. You can follow me at H. Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok, at Astros411 on X and on Facebook. And at Back to the Bullpen, you can find us at Back to the Bullpen on Instagram, on iHeartRadio, on YouTube, and on Spotify. So check us out. Look, man, we love the fact that you guys come and hang out with us. Mike, welcome back in. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh. And it's Mike Stanton 29ers. So, message me. We can have a conversation back and forth. Probably mostly just about baseball, the state of the world we're in right now. There's a lot of things we could talk about, but we're not going to go there.
Let me tell you, this was a wild series, Mike, and we really at the end of the day, you have to like what you're getting out of your starting pitchers. They've gone to the 6-man rotation, ramping up, getting into the playoffs, and then you kind of come into a basic, like a buzzsaw when it comes to an offense. You have Machado, you have Jackson Merrill, who has really come on the scene. You have Tatis Jr. I mean, you've got Jurickson Profar, who's really just had a resurgence in San Diego. They're starting pitching, Dylan Cease. I mean, the list goes on. San Diego, Mike, is one of those teams that really everybody's talking about the Dodgers, everybody's talking about the Phillies, but the Padres, they have the opportunity to sneak up on some people, I think, in the playoffs.
Well, to tell you the truth, they shouldn't sneak up on anybody. You're talking about a team that's 20 games over 500.
Well, that's true.
You're not talking about just another team. Yes, they're not in first place, but what we saw, this is a team that when they make the playoffs, and they're going to make the playoffs, this is not a team you want to face. And the reason it's not is because that starting pitching that they ran out, Dylan Cease was absolutely amazing today. And you look at just how, Yu Darvish pitched in game one. Yep. I mean, this was a special series when you look at pitching. And, all you got to do is look at the scores, look at the box scores, and you can see why this team is, that's going to be a dangerous team in the postseason because it's all about pitching, and they have the pitching that can shut down any lineup. And we saw that today.
It is. And when you look at the first game, 3-1 San Diego, 4-3 in a wild game. And I'm going to get your take on a couple of these things.
Yeah.
And I know you're not a big, like, get down on the umpire kind of guy, but there were some things that I think were really.
Yeah. You're talking about Brennan Miller. He had a bad day.
He had a real, it wasn't just against the Astros.
Oh no, it was both sides. I won't say he was equally bad, because one of the things I ran to, because I didn't see the game. I heard the game, but I didn't see the game. So I didn't get to witness the balls and strikes. So the first thing I went to X, and I went to umpire scorecard. And I looked to see, what the ratings were and stuff like that. And he was actually pretty good at calling balls. Okay. Meaning he didn't miss, but just a couple. He didn't, call a couple ball strikes. Yeah, he had a tough day with expanding the zone and calling strikes balls. He's calling strikes out of the zone. Let me get.
Yeah, no, let me tell you, it gets confusing when you start thinking about it.
So it's his rating on pitches that he was calling strikes was only 83%. He had quite a few called strikes out of the strike zone. Well, and then on top of that, just the way he was going about his business, which the way Major League Baseball tells the umpires this zero tolerance that they're supposed to have, keep control of the game, whatever. Well, it really didn't happen. It really was a wild and crazy game.
It was. I mean, look, there are things that happen like the wild pitch by Josh Hader, just various things.
Well, I mean, after I'm going to exaggerate, a 15-minute break.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, what do you expect?
Four umpires didn't know the rules that he could disengage. He doesn't have to throw to first base. All he's got to do is step off. He's got two, and then they call the balk, and they have to call you. I mean, that's ridiculous. By the way, we're in September. Is this the first time this has come up that somebody has stepped off?
Well,
that's incredible.
It might have something to do with them mucking up the game with all the new rules they have to pay attention to, and the sticky stuff, and the rosin, and this, and that. I mean, I'm serious. Like, I understand the goal or the thought process, like the utopian baseball world that is trying to be created, right? I get it. I do think that it comes from a place where they're trying to make the game better. I don't think it makes the game better, but I understand what the goal is here. But when you put, like, someone has 3 or 4 major things to worry about, but then you lap on 5 or 6 more things, then how are they supposed to keep focused on all the little things that they're supposed to remember and recall, like these rules?
Well, I mean, you have to look at the umpires and go, okay, it's not an easy job. Okay.
Right.
Definitely. Because the best umpiring job is one that you don't even notice he's there. So it's kind of an unsung hero type situation. But whenever you are talking about the umpire, it's never any good. It's never something positive that the umpire did, because, like I said, if they're doing everything right, then you're not talking about them anyways.
True.
But so whenever you do talk about him, it's in a negative light. And if you miss a pitch here or there, okay, that's fine. But Brennan missed pitches all the way around the strike zone. The only place that he was missing strikes and calling them balls was right at the bottom of the strike zone. So and there was only like 2 or 3 of them. There was like 8 pitches that were out of the strike zone. And usually when an umpire has a day like that, it's not a situation that it's all over. Usually it's in one spot that he just sees the strike zone a little bit differently. Maybe it's inside, maybe it's outside. The most arbitrary part of the strike zone is the height of the strike zone, because it should vary with each hitter. But this was all the way around. And then you had the Altuve situation, but it was just, hey, everybody has a bad day.
Have you ever seen anybody unlace their shoe, take off their sock, and point to their toe?
Honestly, I have not. But as soon as he reached down, and you knew he was gone. I mean, because you can't. I mean, you're showing up the umpire. And the umpires are never going to allow that. But again, it's just, if Altuve is arguing something, he's almost always right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he got hit. I mean, so yeah, he's got. I'm gonna have to ice my foot because I got hit in my foot. No, you didn't. Okay, go to the replay. Ask the other umpires. There were other things you could have done instead of just running him. And then, that's pretty funny though. That goes right up there with who was it? Lou used to kick dirt on the plate.
Yeah.
But
they asked Altuve, they're like, were you trying to get thrown out? And he goes, no. He's like, when I get hit on my hand, I take my batting glove off and I show them my hand.
Hey,
like, well, hey, I love it.
Whether you agree with it or not, at least there's logic there. You don't think I got hit? Yeah, look at this big red spot on my big toe.
My toe is bleeding. But
Yeah.
you know, but
you would think, I'm sorry, Brett, but you would think that umpires around the league, that he has a reputation, because he doesn't argue about anything.
No, you're right.
You know, and so when he does, you should really pay attention to it.
That's why when Bregman
know,
shakes his head and he looks at the umpire, you're like, okay, he knew.
And Bregman, 98% of the time, he's right. Every once in a while, there's a ball that clips the corner and he's shaking his head. But most of the time, if it's an inch, if he thinks it's an inch off, it's an inch off.
No, he's very good at that. So let me dovetail the Altuve conversation into earlier in the season. There was a lot of talk of where's the leadership on this team? Who is the leader? We know Altuve is kind of like he's the guy, right? If they had a captain like in New York, he's
one of the guys.
One of the guys.
He's one of the guys.
Right. Well, and I would contend because of his longevity and who he is and his contract situation, that you would think a guy like Altuve would step up and be that guy. Now, with this situation, because this is the second time this has happened where he's been hit and it's not been called a hit, not been or anything like that.
Yeah.
Is this an opportunity that Altuve basically said, you know what? No, I'm tired of this. And do you see him taking a little bit more charge this year in this postseason because of where they've been this year? Maybe getting older, taking on that role, or am I reading into it a little too much?
I think you may be reading into it a little too much, because you want to make sure your players, your veteran players, your young players, but especially your veteran players, they're honest to themselves. You don't want them just, well, I'm a veteran player, I need to step up. If that's not your personality, that's not your personality. And I'm not saying Altuve is definitely one of the team leaders, but he's not the outspoken guy. If there's a team meeting, Altuve's not calling the meeting. True. Now he may say something, a little something there but he's more of a lead by example type guy. And then there's other guys that are more verbal, a guy like, well, we'll say Bregman, that's going to be more verbal. And you have to have them all. Okay. I mean, I played on some very good teams. Some of them were young, some of them were veteran teams, and you have to have all kinds of leaders. And heck, when I was with the Yankees, we had David Cone was probably one of the MVPs, not because of how he pitched, was because how he handled the media. Because the media, especially in New York, has to be given something every night. Well, Jeter didn't want to talk. Paul O'Neill didn't want to talk. Bernie didn't want to talk. Posada only would talk for just a second about somebody had to give the media something. And even if Coney didn't, even if he didn't pitch, he would stand there and he would talk to the media. And I was one of those guys that that did that also. Once David left, because you have to have guys. As far as dealing with the media, especially in New York, you have to have guys that can take pressure off the other one. So you got to have multiple type leaders.
Oh yeah, definitely. With that being said, so Altuve gets tossed. Gray Kessinger comes in. Not only does he score the run that basically they go ahead on a really nice soft line drive to left field by Kyle Tucker, but Gray Kessinger is set up behind second, almost like they're doing a shift, but they're not. Almost
all he's got to be is just on his side of the diamond.
A friend of mine called it like a decoy shift. He's like, I think it was a shift, but they were trying to act like they're playing shift. I don't know. And he said after the game, I was expecting that ball to come up the middle and hit the mound.
Well, that's why he was there.
And that's why he was
there.
But
because whoever the hitter was, I'm not sure who it was. They obviously the data, the scouting reports, the spray charts say that he hits the ball up the middle. That's why you put those dudes there. And he ended up making a great play with the flip to Jeremy at second base to end the ball game.
That was huge, Mike. That was huge. He made a huge grab in the ALCS Game 5 last year in Arlington. Yeah. And he was when he came in and played shortstop, and I still to this day can't believe he got that ball. I mean, that ball was hit so hard, so hot off the bat. And it's good to have someone like Gray Kessinger, because when you get to the playoffs, you're going to have a role player. Now, I don't know if Kess is on the playoff roster on the bench, because I know they brought up Salazar because of the Gamble injury, but you want guys that can go in there and give you solid defense, because you never know what's going to happen in a baseball game.
Well, I mean, that's what he's there for. I mean,
Right.
he's an extra infielder. He can move around the diamond, and I mean, he doesn't get a whole lot of playing time. But you look at his AAA numbers. He can swing the bat a little bit. But he just doesn't get whole lot of opportunity at the big league level. Right. And so what does that mean? That means he's got to be exceptional defensively. He can't just be average when he goes on the field. You need to be. I mean, that's what makes Mauricio Dubon just so incredibly valuable. Is that it's not a stick. That's a bonus. It's his defense, that you can put him anywhere on the field and he's going to be above average, and most of the time well above average.
Well, I heard Gray, I don't know if Gray said it or if it was spoken from another player, but he said once Altuve went for his laces, Gray went and got his glove.
That you can't show up the umpire, and as soon as you do something like that,
Gray's like, I'm about to go in, let's go.
Draw a line on the dirt, or so throw your hat, whatever it is. You're hitting the showers.
So something funny I remember, it was when Johnny Oates was the manager of the Rangers. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Oates was just going ballistic. I believe Mickey Tettleton or Rusty Greer, one of those guys, was like thrown out trying to leg a double into a triple.
Yeah.
And he was clearly safe. And I forget who the Rangers were playing. I mean, this was maybe it was when the ballpark had just been built from the old stadium. But anyway,
everybody you just mentioned, I played for the Rangers.
Awesome.
In 96.
You know what? Well, okay. Were you with them when Oates got tossed at third base? So Oates gets tossed at third base.
You're going to put me on the spot. Something that happened almost 30 years ago.
Come on, man. Well, I remember it. I was there and I wasn't even playing. Come on. No.
But that means I would have had to been paying attention. So
there you go. So this guy jumps out from the stands, a fan, and starts going, like, yelling at the umpire almost more than Johnny Oates did. And Johnny Oates looking at him, and he starts kicking dirt on the base. Well, this guy gets arrested. Then I go home that night, and I'm watching Sports Center on ESPN, and they pan to where the guy came out, and his buddy had a hat. And everybody was throwing money into his hat. They were like, it looks like
bail fund. It's the bail fund.
Apparently he had bet everybody that he was going to do that. And they said, if you do, we'll chip in for your bail.
There you go.
good old baseball, man. The good old times. I remember it. But speaking of the good old times, Justin Verlander's a stalwart veteran. Justin Verlander's first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right.
Struggled, had a year that he probably wishes had gone different due to injuries. Last start, I thought he got a little bit better. Last start, he looked like he improved. But like always, and you and I talk about this, Justin Verlander is very, very critical of himself.
As he should be. I mean, he's a perfectionist. He'll even tell you that he expects perfection. Now, the pursuit of perfection, that's kind of everybody on the field. Right. The expectation of perfection, that's where you can get in problem. And in his post-game sound after the start the other day, he was pretty critical about himself. Okay, as you would expect. I mean, he expects higher. He expects more out of himself. And then there was even some talk about, he put up pretty good numbers, but he gave up 4 hits in 5 innings. Well, one of them was a dribbler through the left side in the first inning. Yes, he walked he only walked 2 in 5 innings, and they were the first 2 batters of the game.
Yeah, the way he started, I was like, oh, here we go.
But you look at the strikeout total, you go, okay, well, yeah, he's facing a very subpar offensive team, which I don't disagree with that, but they're still big leaguers. They still have a stick in their hand that still makes them dangerous. But he had 9 swing and misses. He only struck out 2 though. So he only had 2 of those with 2 strikes to strike out a hitter. So it was, I understand Justin's idea of, what he did, because the one thing we didn't know is how he felt about it. And
True.
he felt like it was a struggle, especially early. He's still working on things and this, that, and the other. But he won Cy Young a couple years ago for the Astros. And it was a running joke for me. If you go back and watch any of the pre and post game, it was funny because he always said the whole season, man, I just didn't have a feel for my slider. And he's striking everybody out on sliders. So what that means is, there are times that, guys like JV that expect so much and that have done so much, they kind of have a altered version of reality,
Right.
So
right.
he had in that start against the Angels, he had, 9 swing and misses. Now, in relation to what Fromber did today, okay, Fromber, incredible 8 innings, right? Just gave up the 1 run.
Right.
I mean, just dealt. Okay. He only had 13 in 8 innings,
True.
which is would you consider a little low for Fromber, in that type situation. And he had the most swing and misses on his changeup. I mean, he threw a lot of change. I loved his pitch mix today because he basically almost threw a third of 3 pitches: the sinking fastball, the sinker, the curveball, and the changeup. That's how, he threw a lot of changeups. And I've always thought that, it's hard to say he's going out there and shoving every 5 or 6 days. And the curveball has just been incredibly filthy all season long. You need to throw more changeups. Well, the curveball's been so good. I mean, whatever.
Well,
So, but him, making that attempt, making that effort. Okay, I'm going to throw more changeups today, and it was just an outstanding pitch.
Well, I've noticed a lot of the Astros pitchers have really, that changeup has become something that I think maybe as a pitching staff, as pitching coaches have said, hey, you need to do the changeup. And
talk to hitters. Hitters will tell you, yes, hitting good sliders are difficult, but you find somebody that has a good changeup. Now, and I'm not even talking about the movement. I'm talking about the arm action to speed differential, the difference between the changeup and the fastball as far as velocity is concerned.
Yeah.
I think that, the hitters will say those are the hardest pitches to hit. I mean, there's guys in the Hall of Fame. Tom Glavine is one of them. He didn't go in because he had, impeccable command of both sides of the plate. He didn't go in because he was a hard thrower. He went in because he had a really good changeup and he never gave in. He could throw it anytime, anywhere. And if he walked you or you laid off of it, tip your cap.
Because the changeup is basically, for people who may not be familiar with it, why it's so deceptive is it looks like every bit of a 2-seamer. I mean, it looks like a fastball that's coming in.
It's a fastball. It looks like a fastball. It's got the arm speed of the fastball. It's got the trajectory of the fastball. It's just slower. But the crazy thing is, Fromber's isn't really even that much slower.
Right.
I mean, he'll throw his changeup in the low 90s. Now, there may have been a couple of those quote unquote changeups that might have been 2-seam fastballs because you saw it today that he would throw a sinker at 92 and a changeup at 90, or I'm sorry, a sinker at 93 and throw a changeup at 92.
Mm-hmm.
So there may have been some of those that were actually just good sinking fastballs, but
Now, when I'm holding changeup, and people may roast me for this. So when
I probably will roast you for this.
Well, outside of our show,
right?
They're probably so when I'm throwing a 2-seam, because you actually still work with up and coming baseball players, youth players
daily. Yes.
When someone throws the 4-seam, the 2-seam, okay, and the changeup, what is different? Is the rotation or spin more? Does it look
all depends on how the pitcher throws it and what he's looking to do.
So arm angle and all that stuff.
No, arm angle should all stay the same.
Okay.
That's what makes it look like a fastball.
Okay.
If I throw my fastball right here, I'm going to throw my changeup right here also.
Okay.
I don't want to change where I throw because the hitters, especially big league hitters, will pick up on that.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, are you looking? So when Fromber throws his, what I like about Fromber's is that it's got the same. I mean, now it's almost the same velocity, but it's got the same arm speed. Everything is the same. It's just a little bit slower. Now, when I'm teaching kids, when I'm teaching young pitchers, even professional pitchers, if we're going to throw a changeup, I want some speed differential. I want the pitch to be slower.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get 6-7 miles an hour, okay, that's probably going to be a contact changeup. Okay, which is fine. When you can get 9, 10, 11 miles an hour off your fastball, now you're talking about a bigger speed differential. Now you're talking about a potential swing and miss pitch. But so it's all different, and there's not even a certain grip. Okay, if I had 10 pitchers standing in front of me that all threw changeups, there's going to be 10 different grips.
Okay.
And that's actually what I promote with my pitchers. I said, okay, I'll make suggestions, but I want you to make the pitch your own. Find something that's comfortable.
Feel it, because the word feel is massive.
Everything.
Whenever I talk to,
that's why I don't really talk much. I don't really teach much mini circle changes, because it is a hard pitch to throw consistently. It feels, it feels funny in my hand. Now, coming up in the Braves organization, we all had to throw circle changes, and at times mine was okay, but it was one of those things that, especially once I became a reliever, I may go 2 weeks without throwing a changeup.
Yeah.
I just didn't face any right-handers, and I got early contact or whatever. And it is a feel pitch. You have to feel how it comes out of your hand. Okay. And you have to throw it a lot to have location on it. And I just didn't throw it enough. So that's why, a little later, I think 8 years in, I picked up a split finger, and it's more of a grip it and rip it pitch. It's not so much a feel pitch. And that, from that point on to the rest of my career, I was throwing a split finger fastball. Actually, split change.
I remember, and I'll share this before we move on. We talk about the postseason a little bit in its offense. I remember seeing a video on Mike Scott in the split finger.
Yeah.
And I remember one day my dad wasn't home, and I was practicing baseball, and he came home, and I had a baseball in between my fingers, and I had athletic tape around it. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm trying to widen my fingers so I can throw a split finger.
Stretch them out.
And he was like, "Does it hurt?" I was like, "Yeah, it hurts a lot."
Yeah, it hurts. I can tell you to this day, this knuckle, I have arthritis in this knuckle from throwing a split. Now, I'm probably like you. I don't remember shaking your hand, how big your hand is, but I do not have big hands. I've kind of got meaty hands with short fingers. So I had to really shove it in there.
I can imagine.
And that's why I called it a split change.
Has like real long fingers.
Now, if you remember, you go back to the late 80s and 90s, Ron Darling, that was his pitch.
Yeah.
Okay. And he used to walk. Now, he had long, skinny fingers, but he used to walk around with a softball stuck in his fingers.
Okay. Softball.
I mean, that's how he stretched it out. But my fingers get sore.
I remember going, I was like, "Hey, Dad, is it okay if I take the baseball out?" He goes, "I didn't tell you to do that." He was like, "Where'd you learn that?" I'm like, I saw a video from I saw something on the news with Mike Scott, and
I was gonna say it wasn't YouTube.
No, it wasn't YouTube.
Not back then, because you are not a spring chicken.
Thank you. Good Lord.
And I'm not going to say anything about us being about the same age. No.
No. One of us is a 19-year vet, and I am not. But anyways, we do have a postseason question, and we'll get to that here in a second. But speaking of postseason, I think we have the horses in the barn when it comes to our starting pitching. I don't think that is the challenge. I think for the most part, our bullpen has it together, but bullpen still has to come in and perform because you're playing the best of the best.
Listen, if I had to rate I'm not worried about the bullpen.
Okay.
The bullpen should be just fine. Nobody is overworked. It's good that Joe has been able to give Joe Espada has been able to give Abreu some time off, and we've actually seen his stuff get better recently.
He has pitched a lot better. But the offense is now. I think the offense's lack of production today had nothing to do with the season-long inconsistency as much as it had to do with Dylan Cease the last 3 starts.
Dylan Cease has been filthy. I mean, he was filthy today.
Get this, in his last 3 starts versus the Astros, he's only given up, I think, 8 hits. He's only given up 1 run and 2 walks in 3 games.
Little lucky today on one particular swing.
True.
The Bregman drive down the left field line. That was just barely foul. So
man, I know we could
little gusto in.
Just a little that nice cool California breeze. But does this offense have what it takes this year in the 2020?
Well, I mean, you can't say they don't. I mean, because most of these dudes have done it before.
True.
Okay.
True.
It's so what's the determining factor? They need to get hot in the postseason. But the good thing is the Astros pitching staff, especially their starting rotation, but I say their bullpen's fine too. They're going to keep you in the ball games, and that's what what are you looking for? We talked about this, go all the way back to April when they were one of the best offensive teams, believe it or not, one of the best offensive teams in Major League Baseball, but they couldn't win a game to save their life because they couldn't get a hit with runners in scoring position to save their life. Right. And what do coaches say? What do players say in those situations? Just keep giving yourself opportunities. And that's what the key is. Because, even the best of teams, they're not even 50-50, in scoring opportunities. They're still less than that. Nobody hits 500 with runners in scoring position.
True.
At least not for a long period of time. So if you're hitting, above 300 with runners in scoring position, you're doing really, really well. So that still means there's a lot of failure there. So the key to it is getting those opportunities. Because eventually, the talent is going to show up. Somebody is going to be able to do some damage. And you saw that in game 2. I mean, the Astros they've been better this year in extra innings, but, that's kind of the same type situation because it's already preset that there's somebody in scoring position.
Exactly. And I think just like you said, experience alone helps. I think Kyle Tucker having a couple weeks before the playoffs start helps him.
Sure.
For sure. He did have that home run. I love the fact that he came in and got a pinch.
That ball was crushed.
It was.
I mean, that was 97, 98 mile an hour sinker. It was supposed to be away. Pitcher threw it in, but it was just a reactionary swing, really pretty swing. That's
like, there it is.
It hit the ball in the seats in right center field in Anaheim. I mean, you have to destroy the baseball.
Yeah. I agree with you. I remember whenever Jake Myers came up, he hit some home runs out in the outfield there and just looked really, really good. Someone earlier said they think you look like Jake Myers. I
look like well, hold on. I am way older than Jake Myers, so Jake Myers may look like me.
I'm just telling you right here. I just noticed Mike looks like he could be related to Jake Myers.
It's the lighting.
It's we paid good money for that lighting, right?
Or lack thereof.
The back to the bullpen budget was broken by Mike Stanton's lighting.
That's right.
So Mr. Thunder says, Brett and Mike, do you think the postseason will be easier or harder than last year?
I think if they go deep, it's probably going to be much more difficult. Okay. Yeah. And the reason I say that is just simply because you have some other teams that are very good. I mean, you just saw the Padres. That's not a team. I don't care if I'm the Phillies, if I'm the Dodgers. That pitching staff, that rotation that they just ran out there in that 3-game series, they can beat anyone. It was outstanding.
And it has felt like playoff baseball lately with the Astros, whoever they've played.
Right.
To kind of round up the conversation, Astros come back 4-game set versus the Angels. I'm thinking they've got to win 3 out of 4. I mean, you can't.
Well, what's their magic number now? I haven't seen it. It's like 5, 6.
I think it's 7.
7.
If the Mariners lose tonight, it'll be 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've got
So
4.
that's the number you have to. Who cares about how many games back? Which, I mean, it all means the same thing. It's the magic number. And now, hey, you have a magic number of 6 or 7, and
Mhm.
you have 10 games to play. Start off with that means Seattle has to be perfect.
Well, that's true. That's
You
true.
know, and that's what we have to remember is that. So I'm trying to look at the scores real quick. Um, why would you think the Mariners are going to be perfect? Bottom of the 7th, the Yankees are up 1-0.
Yeah, there you go. Good job. Go Yankees. It's the only time I ever root for them.
but yeah, listen. The Astros are going to win this division.
Yeah,
Okay, the Mariners have to be perfect, and the Astros would have to fall off the map, and they're not going to do that.
yeah.
That's too good of a team. They're pitching too well. So are they going to run the gauntlet the last 10 days? Well, maybe not, but that's not the point. The point is once the regular season is over, the Astros win the American League West again.
Exactly. So you got Yusei Kikuchi going Thursday. You've got Justin Verlander Friday, Ronel Blanco Saturday, and Ronel Blanco seems to be reinvigorated.
He got a little bit of rest.
Better, got a little rest, and then Spencer Arrighetti comes in Sunday. So that's a really good, and then it sets you up for Fromber and Hunter Brown against the Mariners.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah. Those are going to be, regardless of what happens over the weekend, those are going to be must-win games for Seattle. Okay. And here's the thing. The only way Seattle makes up any ground is they have to sweep the Astros. With those head-to-head matchups, and we make a big deal about them, but you go in going, if I win one, that's only a one-game swing. If I win 2, it's still only a one-game swing. Positive, but it's still a one-game swing. It's the sweep that you have to try to avoid. But,
here's the thing.
So all the pressure is going to be on Seattle.
If the Yankees can sweep the Mariners, which I think it's possible, okay, and then the Astros win 3, you pretty much should be done. I would think you have it clinched.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's magic number is not going to be 0, but it's going to be down there pretty good.
Right.
And just for people that don't know what the magic number is, it is any combination of an Astros win and or a Seattle Mariners loss. That makes that number go down. Astros win, it goes down 1. Astros win, Seattle loses, it goes down 2. So it's not like the game's back. It's not like when you're just looking at the standings. That those are half games.
Yeah. So a great follow on X is Astros_MN, and it's Astros magic number. And before the game today, it was 7 for division and playoffs, both the same. The magic number for home field advantage is 16 and then 18 for ALCS. Yeah. We're not going to get home field.
Probably not going to get there.
That's probably not going to happen. I don't know. I'm not a math guy.
That's okay. You know what? The way the Astros play on the road, who cares?
True.
This team doesn't care about playing on the road.
And hey, we've got a batter's eye that's darker now.
Hey, hopefully it helps.
I only say that because I know you don't buy it.
Hey, I'm not a hitter. I can't say it doesn't. I can't say it does.
True. Very true. Well, hey, Mike, this has been great, man. We'll have to come back, do a little check-in maybe this week. I know here in a couple of weeks, October 5th, there's a big celebrity home run derby.
There is. It is out at Constellation Field.
Yeah. Jose Canseco, Antonio Brown, Johnny Manziel, Josh Reddick, King of JUCO, Riff Raff, your favorite artist.
Okay.
Don't know that guy, but there's some famous pitchers, or infamous pitchers, I should say.
Infamous.
Roy Oswalt.
Yep, Roy's going to be out there.
There's this guy named Mike Stanton, I think, is going to be out there.
There's a chance. I'm doing everything I can to get there, and my job is going to be to give up home runs. I don't know how that's going to sit in my craw.
I was wondering. I was thinking, I hope Mike doesn't realize that he's not going to be like, you know what? I think I'm going to strike out Jose Canseco just one more time. But, and there are some, and I can't say who, but I do know of some other big names that they're talking to right now.
Potential. They're trying.
So there are some other people. Brandon Backey is just going to make a guest appearance.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't throw anymore, but Houston legend of the 04-05 season.
Oh, yeah.
Get out of Galveston, he hit the scene real hot. Unfortunately, didn't do much after that, but Brandon Backey's still local, so he'll be there. Look, it's going to be a fun night, October 5th. Go to the Space Cowboys website is where you can get tickets. You can also, if you go to the Instagram, and Jose Canseco's doing a giveaway. He's like giving some people media access. He's actually doing a trip. I'm sure even if you live in Houston, maybe they'll be off the hook for a plane trip. But if you win, maybe you can get like free hotel, food. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So check out the giveaway. Thank y'all for tuning in to
Oh, you almost did it again.
Back to the bullpen.
My goodness.
What are we gonna do? And hung out there, right? Man. But this is Back to the Bullpen. We're wearing our Rams shirts. Back to the Bullpen. We got our hair cut high and tight from the state-of-the-art barbershop, and we want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. 120 of y'all. Y'all are the best. Like, subscribe, share with a friend. Let them know that also, not only can you get Astros stuff, but the postseason this year, Mike and I are going to, this year, we haven't done it until this year. For the first time ever, we're going to take deep dives into the playoff different series.
Sure.
We're going to talk about different shows. So you're going to see probably more content around the postseason time and kind of get our take. And why wouldn't you want this guy's take right here? Wait, I can't even point.
There you go. That way.
That guy's take, who actually has thrown a baseball in a major league game. A lot of them, I might add. So, for myself and everybody here at Ramshirt Studios, thank y'all so much for tuning in.
Adios.
We're out.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way, you can't hit it. Know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk your back, look